Hi everybody. Just going to turn my camera just a little bit since I was a little skewed. Hope everybody's having a great Friday, and we're going to wait a couple of minutes and see who comes to join us. But today I'm going to be working with Christmas Dreams, and I'm also going to be working with the Heartfelt Creations ticket and tags. And what I've done with this is I've made some cards, or tags I should say, and they're easy, they're quick. My plan is to make a couple with you, a little different than what I've already made. And yeah, that's kind of what we're going to do today. So it's going to be short, sweet. It's just going to be a fun Friday thing. So the first thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about these dies from Heartfelt Creations. And I always, when I get my dies, I always put them on a magnetic strip, these strips that I have. I love these dies. I cannot say it enough how much I love the Heartfelt Creation dies. They cut nicely. Even this one, once I can get it lifted up, with all this intricate lace, when you want to clean your die, all I do is I take, you could even use a toothbrush, my tool, and I just rub it over it and everything falls out. Because that was the only thing I was a little leery of when I got this one. How is it going to clean up when I go to want to pick out all those little pieces? Because I so strongly dislike dies that you've got to sit there and with your pokey tool and go in each little hole. It drives me nuts. It doesn't happen. And then I stop using the die. Give me a second here. We've got to sort of get this out of the way. Okay, I think I made it silent. Of course, when you get on a live, that's when things are gonna start happening, right? So where was I? Now I hope we're not frozen here, and it looks like we might be. Let's see what's gonna happen here. Give me a second here. Not if it's my internet or if I've frozen or what has happened. I think we're good. I think we're good. Hi, Lisa. It's always good when I have somebody on screen because they can tell me, no, you didn't freeze. Just that's the first time I've ever had a phone call come through. So let me get back to this. So this Heartfelt Creation die, Tammy has them in the store. Please, 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 if you like dies and you don't have a tag die, this is another one that I would put in your stash because you are going to use it. All right, so I'm going to set this aside, and then I'm going to bring the tags in that I've already made. And hopefully, I'm going to kind of talk about each of them separately, and then I'm going to make the couple that I'm going to make with you guys. So this was the first one, and all I did is I took, what I had is the 8x8 Christmas Dreams from Country Craft Creations. So I just took some of the 8x8 paper that looked like this, and I cut out a piece I wanted with this little topper die. Thank you, Lisa. And that's where this all started. Some of my tags, all of my tags are mounted on 100-pound artisan cardstock that Tammy sells in the store. This is the white. I think that's the only one that comes in 100-pound that's artisan. I know there is, hello, Sharon. I know there is some My Colors that is also 100 pounds. So if you're looking for colored cardstock, there's that too. And then I just added the seam binding to the top, put a little button on it. I threaded my twine through the hole. I have some in my stash, I've got this blue and white twine. So that's what I use, but you could use navy, you excuse me, you could use ivory, you could use white, whatever you happen to have. This piece here comes from the 12 by 12 coordinating that I also received. And I just picked a color that I was really fond of. This is one of the small cut aparts that came in the collection. And then I just use, I believe that's 3/8. Yes, the little piece of pink paper is 3/8, and the black paper that I put underneath is 1/2 inch. And then what I did is, and I have to thank Lillian for this. This is fantasy fiber, I can say that. And Lillian stores hers in a jar. And I went, I don't know if I can do this. Lillian, best idea ever, because it sits there when I'm working on a project. And then I just pull out the color I want. I don't have a lot of colors yet, but I'm working on that. So, and it just adds a little something without being over the top. And it's easy. That's what these tags are, is easy. And then you could always stamp your two from here, or you could glue this down to the 100-pound and then stamp it on the back. I haven't decided where I'm going to stamp yet, so that's why I'm keeping it the way it is. And then this one, I believe, yes, it was. This is on an 8x8 sheet as well. It's this little image down here in the corner. I just took my smaller die, lined it up where I wanted it, and then ran it through my die cutting machine to get the image I wanted. And you could, you know, it's just what you decide to do. I wanted the tree over to the side, so that's why I cut it as I did. And then I layered that onto a piece of pink that came from the coordinating colors. And this little cut apart is from the 8x8 cut apart sheet. And then, of course, more fantasy fiber. And the other thing I should tell you is then, I don't know if you're going to see it. I'm going to try and hold it up. I don't think so. Oh, there. I put Wink of Stella on just some of the images. So I want little stars on this one. There's some Wink of Stella. I put it on the roof. I just, wherever I thought it would look nice, in the windows of the church, on the little trees down here. And that is, I believe I used the clear. And then again, I put some on Santa's sled and on his hat and on the harnesses for the reindeer, you know, and then on the poinsettias on a little cut apart. So the next one, what I did is, again, I used the topper. And then I went with, let's see if I can find that sheet quickly. I took this sheet, and I got a ton of this paper left that I can make a whole whack more tags. Hello, Miss Jennifer. And what I did is, for this element on the bottom, I just decided where I wanted to cut it from. And then I fussy cut or soft cut. And then this little image here, I fussy cut from the other side of the paper. And of course the topper again, I added some Wink of Stella to their hats and their scarves, to the trees up here, a little along the bottom of the snow. And this is from one of the 8x8s. This one I did glue. Yeah, I did glue it to my 100-pound cardstock. And again, more fantasy fiber. I used white and blue as I was doing this. And the buttons, the pink buttons are coming out of the buttons that Tammy sells in the store. Losing the name. Grandma's buttons, I think. I don't have my Tanya on here to go and put it up. And then these white buttons I got these from, it was My Sweet from Prima. I know there are still some of those left in the store. Hi, Carolyn. So nice you could join us. So that's this tag. And all I did is I took twine and just strung it through the holes of the buttons and then tied it on the back. And then this one is extra simple. Again, it's just the topper. Oh yes, the other thing I should mention is I did take some black artisan and just run it through the die machine just to get the scalped edge of my topper, so I could have that peeking out. Again, this is from the cut aparts. This is another piece that I just cut out of some pattern paper. And I believe this one's a little wider. I believe this is a 1/2 inch. Yes, and then my backing is 5/8. And fantasy fiber behind, button on top, seam binding. I use the winter white and the pink to create the cards or to put on the cards. Hi, Patty. This one is actually from one of the cut aparts that are from the other cut apart sheet that comes in the collection. Don't seem to be able to find it right now. It's right here because I put it aside. So I've used some of these. So that's this image here. And if you take the inside die and you lay it on top of it, you can run it through and it cuts it out quite nicely. And then what I did is, again, some more Weka Stella. This is from the tags, or not for the tags, the cut aparts. Some fantasy fiber, Weka Stella on Santa's little crown. And then I added a piece of from the coordinating and inked all the edges in black. This one I did crinkle the seam binding. And yeah, so that's the 5 tags I've made already. And I've got 3 more to make with you guys. Hi, Tina. Hi, Patty. If I didn't say hi already, better get over here and check to see if... Hi, Linda and Brenda and Debbie. So that's where we're going today. I want to talk a little bit about fussy cutting. I know when you say the word fussy cutting, everybody goes, ah! Some people are not fond of it. I can say I was not fond of it. I've learned to embrace fussy cutting. And I just want to take a couple of minutes. I don't think we'll cut out this whole image. And just talk about, get yourself a good pair of small scissors. I have had these ones for forever. That's why they look the way they look. I know there are some in the store. I have not tried them. But like I say, you just want scissors that have a nice point on them. And all I do is when I start to fussy cut, and let's hope I can do this when I'm on live, is I, for the most part, just move the paper. And when I first was taught to fussy cut, the lady that I went to her workshop didn't refer to it as fussy cutting. She called it a soft cut. And you know what? When you start thinking of it like that, it's really easy. It doesn't matter if you miss something. It doesn't matter if you leave something out. Nobody's going to know. And when you get into a spot like this, cut away the excess. And maybe come at it from a different angle. I actually cut out all the tiny little cut aparts while I was watching TV. And you just keep moving the paper for the most part. And you just keep going. And then you'd have this image cut out, and you could take it and add it to one of these tags. That's what I do when I want to use elements, or I want to take something out of an 8x8 sheet like this. Let's say I wanted to use one of these elements. I would just start cutting it out. Like this is the one I cut out for the boy and girl for that tag with it where they're on the sled. Right here. It's this element right there. And I just started cutting. Took my time, inked the edges, and that's the thing. Hi, T. Morris. And that's what I do. So that's a little lesson in fussy cutting. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of it, because I know that all you got to do is practice. There, practice, practice, practice. So let's get started on the 3 tags that I'm going to make with you guys. I'm going to set these tags sort of in a pile. And the other thing I want to tell you about before we get started on these tags is I wet some seam binding today. I crinkled it up, and then I only did this an hour ago, and I was going, okay, I need to get this dry. How can I get it dry that I'm not going to burn it, you know, that I don't need to stand and watch it? So I put it in a frying pan, and we've got a fire insert in our fireplace. So it's got a little ledge on the top of it, and I set it on there. And you know what? It did a very nice job. This one's just a touch damp still, but it'll work. And that's how I crinkle up my seam binding. So we're going to be using crinkled seam binding today. I'm going to move my dies out of the way. And so I'm going to sort of talk you through what I'm doing as I'm doing it. And I don't know if we're going to get all 3 done. We'll see how it goes. So I've inked all my edges. And this is the back side. So this is the one that has all the Christmas ornaments on it. And I love this pink and teal stripe. It's really quite nice. So I'm just going to get out my art glitter glue. I'm going to adhere this to my white 100-pound artisan. You could use black, but I thought for tags it would be better to use white, because then that way the person can write the to or from. You could stamp the to or from on the back of it. It really gets down to what you want to do. So that's my tag I actually put together. And then this is what I did. So I went and I cut just the scallops from that topper die that I showed you a little while ago. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little glue on the back of my pattern paper. And then I'm just going to kind of line this up where I want it. And I want just a little bit sticking out. I don't want a lot. And when I'm happy, I'm going to push it down. And then this is going to go like so on the top of this. Let's do the little strip. So this is like a 1/2 inch, I believe. Yes, by the width of my tag, which is 2 3/4. And this is 5/8 of an inch, the black piece. Anybody got exciting plans for this weekend? And then I'm just kind of lining it up like so. Give it a good burnish. And remember, when you're watching the live, remember to go back to my YouTube channel and like and subscribe, because that's what moves the YouTube further up in whatever they're at, however it works with YouTube, so that more people can find this. So today I was going to use my round punch again. Actually, I'm going to use my round punch. It's so they all look the same. This is an old punch I have here, so it's going to make a lot of noise when I punch, so I'm going to apologize for that now. I'm just lining it up with the hole that's in the topper, and then I got to take 2 hands because so there. So let's put this on probably about there. You could pop this up with tape. I'm actually going to keep it, just use glue right now. The only thing I want to make sure is, does this have a direction? I think I like it that way better. Decide on my placement. And like I say, it's just up to you. Oh, that sounds like a fun thing. Quilts, yes. And then this is from the cut apart sheet. And I think the other one, I think I'm going to put him over on this side this time. But I want some fantasy fiber behind him. So let's get the lid off of this. I'm going to use some white. And literally, and like I say, this is Lillian that taught me this. Just pull out what you want. I love this stuff. The more I'm using it, the more I'm loving it. And I just kind of, you know, make it into a little circle or whatever it is I want to do with it. Going to see how I'm going to find that behind. I'm going to have it something like so. And this is where you get it everywhere. And I'm going to put some art glitter glue on the back of my star. I'm going to take my fantasy fiber and kind of mush it into the glue. You're going to have it on your fingers now, but that's okay. And then I'm going to take more glue. And I'm going to put some glue here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mush that all into the glue, as I'm going to call it. And I'm just going to hold it for a second. Remember, this stuff dries clear. So it's not going to cause any issues. If you've got a side that's not sticking down like this side, just throw some more glue in there. Hold it. But yes, the more I use the fantasy fibers, the more I like them. Okay, I think it's stuck down. And now we want to do our top. So I think I am going to use white. And I don't know. I'm going to cut a piece, something like that. String it through. And then look through my buttons and find a button that I think I'm going to like. It does, but you know what, Patty? It's not bad cleaning up. Keeping it in a jar is the best idea ever. And I have to thank Lillian again for this, because doing that, it contains it and it stays together. Like I've been pulling out, even to turn the blue down below, and look, the other colors just kind of stay together. I didn't think I was going to be able to handle it in a jar, but I sure can, and I love it. It was a very good idea. All right, so let's go back to finding our button. And I'm going to use the lid of this because I need to see my buttons. Ooh, I like that button. Maybe I'm going to use that one this time. And those buttons are from Tammy's shop. Let me get them. Just go in under, I believe under embellishments, and you'll find them. And there is a ton of different colors. And they're really very nice. They're a very nice quality. I'm thinking, but I want to keep the buttons pink and white for this project. All right, let me put the top back in this while we're actually stringing this button together. And I am going to use some of this blue twine. And I probably didn't need a piece quite this big, so let's cut it in half. And gotta get it through the hole. Oh, I'm gonna use this side. So just ignore me. I'm really not a sewer, so I might be putting this button on backwards. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It's my project. And then put the other side in. And of course, sometimes if the holes are little like this one, there we go. All right. And then virtually all I do is I take the twine. I don't even glue the topper down to the tag itself. That's also an option. You could glue it on. And I just sort of get it where I want it, bring it around, and then with my big fingers, I'll position it where I want it here in a second. Let's get it started. And I'm pushing it down towards the top of the tag. Turn it back over. Make sure I'm going to be happy. Yep. And just tie a knot in it. Anytime, Patty. That's what this is all about. Today, it's really about the process. Because I went, oh, I'm not going to make the same tags over again. I want different ones. So I'm just pulling up on my seam binding just to make sure I'm going to be happy. And voila, I can cut off a little bit of this topper if I want, or the seam binding if I want it to. Get that out of our way. And there is that first tag that we're done today. All right, so now this second one, explain where things came from. So this little image here, I pulled from this little cut apart, and it's a cut apart that's just 2 by about 2 5/8. And then I did cut it down a little bit for what I wanted it for. So that's what we're going to do with this one. So I'm going to add some adhesive. This one does not have a topper on it. And this is just a piece of the 8 by 8. It's got the Santa Clauses on the back. But I kind of liked it for the moon and the little bit of gold sparkle that was on the front. Just add it like so. And for this one, I'm going to adhere it. Sorry about that. You know how it goes. Always when you're live. So we'll talk about the black piece of cardstock in a second. I cut it 1/8 of an inch bigger than my actual image. So the image, I cut it down to 1 7/8 by 2 1/2. And the cardstock is 2 5/8 by 2. And this is that border die that I talked about. this one right here. And I just cut it from a piece of the pink. And it's going to go something like this in the middle. And I'm going to adhere that right to my project or to my tag. Like so. And we're just going to about the middle. That's where I was aiming for. And we're going to use some more of the white fiber. And again, I just sort of take as much as I want because I do want to see it. So I'm going to spread this out more. Because I want it sticking out from behind this element. And we're just going to add the glue to this to start with. And we're going to lay down our fantasy fiber, letting it adhere without adhering to us too much. Just check again if I'm going to be, yep. And then I am just going to get some glue on this. And I'm sure there's other ways to do this, but this is the way that seems to work for me. I'm going to center it sort of in the middle. And originally I was thinking of popping up, but that just didn't seem to be what was going to happen as I got going here. And add some more glue. Remember, the art glitter glue dries clear, which is always a good thing. And then last. And now we're going to punch a hole in the top of it just to keep things rolling the same. Centering it as best we can. And I'm going to use pink this time. So I'm just going to cut a little chunk of it. And again, and we're going to use a white button this time. So these white buttons are a little smaller than some of the pink ones, but I like that one. Or do I like that one? I think no, that's going to be the one. So this time I'm going to use some pink twine, some pink and white twine I have in my stash. Tammy has some beautiful light pink in the store that I've got in my next order, but it didn't come because I only just placed it. And it's got to make its way to Canada. Let's get these fibers off my fingers. They're getting in my way. And it will just wash off when you're all done. So I'm just going to thread the string or the twine. And I always work diagonally when I'm stringing twine, as I call it. This is probably the most tedious part, is standing here and making sure your twine is doing what you want it to do. So I'm thinking next week. I can't do a Friday because I have some appointments next week, but I'm thinking I might go live on Saturday and maybe we'll do a quick gift box, you know, for those last minute gifts. And I may use this Christmas Dream because it's such a beautiful paper. So we're just going to have this cooperate so we can tie it. Got way too much twine here. Of course. Pull it down to the tag and then tighten this up a little bit more, like so. And like so. And like I say, these tags come together quickly. They're easy. Those last minute gifts. Cut a little off that one. And there's tag 2 that I said we were going to make together. And now let's get on to the last one. So the last tag today that I'm going to make has a little background story. So this comes from this 8x8 sheet of paper. Put the glue in the top, back in the glue for a second. So I just took my tag die, the bigger one, lined it up where I wanted it, and cut that piece out. But the little girl with her present and the Christmas Wonder comes from this little cut apart that's in the 8x8 collection. And I just cut, you know, fussy cut, soft cut, whatever word you want to use, her out. And then I also did the same with the word Christmas Wonder. Then I inked all the edges. I mounted these 2 pieces on black cardstock just so that they'll pop a little bit. We're going to use our adhesive and adhere this one to the back. Like so. Just line it up, burnish it. And then just to add some interest and to show you that I can go to the bottom of my pile and get some blue, let me do this. I just want a little bit. That might be enough, maybe a little more. All right. So we're going to use some blue this time. And we're going to stick it out sort of like so. So again, add your glue to the back of the little girl. And like I say, I just soft cut around her. Didn't worry about getting everything. Let's make sure I'm not missing anything that I should be. And she's going to go like so. So I'm going to put more glue on here where I kind of want her, because I find it's easier to put the glue on the paper and then put the fantasy fiber and hold it down. So this is going to go like so. So we want a little up here by her head. And then I just sort of go around the corners and add a little bit more so that things stay put. Like so. Need a little bit more up here. And I think we're going to pop up the word Christmas Wonder today. Once I get that stuck down, little girl. And I'm just going to get my scissors. Just run some down the middle. Yes, there's going to be some fantasy fiber attached to it. That's okay. We'll just pick it off. Now, I didn't try to put my fantasy fiber underneath things or underneath any tape because I don't think that'll work. Hopefully I've left enough room. If I haven't, I'm going to use my other punch. Yes. Making sure I'm in the middle. There we go. And we are also going to use pink on this one because the white would be too much, I think. So let's string this through. And you know what? If you didn't want to put a button on, you could just do the twine. I'm going to use a clear one. I'm going to use some more of this pink. I got a piece here. So remember, Tammy has this in the store. It's the Country Craft Creations Christmas Dreams. It's exclusive to Country Craft Creations. She also has the Heartfelt die in stock, and it's the ticket and tags. Remember, I used the 100-pound artisan cardstock for my bases, and I used the black artisan cardstock for all my mounting that I did of my pieces. Just I like it that they stand out when you've got the black behind them. So I almost got this all strung through. And then we're just going to center it around our seam binding or attach it to our seam binding. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. This is just the way I do it. So get a little, and then get everything organized. Pull up your seam binding. There we go. And tie it in a knot, and then we'll fix it. And like I say, these tags are really quick to make. The hardest part and the longest part is deciding just exactly what you want to do, like what pieces you want to put together. And voila, there's our last one. So there's the 3 new ones I made today. Here's the ones I already made. And I'm going to go back and put Wink of Stella on them where I want the Wink of Stella. Off camera. Don't need to bore you with that. So there are our tags for today. 3 with the seam binding scrunched and wet. 4 like that, and 4 without. I hope you've enjoyed our Fun Friday. If you've got questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments, and I'll answer them just as quickly as I can. Make sure again to go back once this video is uploaded and like and subscribe if you haven't, because that helps me. And I will see you probably next Saturday for my next live. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. And hopefully it's not snowing too much wherever you live. Have a great day. Thanks and bye.